It was a sunny afternoon in the heart of New York City. A busy metropolis buzzing with people on their way to work, meeting friends, or simply passing through the iconic streets. In the midst of it all, in a small bookstore tucked away on a quiet side street, a curious encounter was about to take place. Lucas, a young artist in his mid-20s, had been working in this bookstore for nearly a year. He had always enjoyed the quiet atmosphere, the smell of paper, and the sense of nostalgia that came with browsing through old novels. Today, as usual, he was manning the counter, glancing over his sketchbook while the store buzzed with a few regular customers. A woman in her early 50s, dressed in a business suit, entered the store. She walked briskly, scanning the shelves with an air of authority. Her name was Evelyn Thompson, a successful business executive with a sharp mind and an even sharper tongue. Despite her accomplishments, she had developed a certain coldness toward people who did not fit her idea of success. Lucas looked up from his sketchbook and greeted her with a friendly smile. "Good afternoon. Can I help you find something?" Evelyn didn't immediately respond. She continued to browse, seemingly uninterested in the young man standing behind the counter. As she walked past him, she muttered under her breath, loud enough for him to hear, "Why do they always put the young ones in these places? Like this is all they'll ever do." Lucas felt the sting of the comment but chose not to react immediately. He knew better than to let a stranger's words affect him. Instead, he simply continued with his work, pretending he hadn't heard. However, Evelyn wasn't done. She turned back to him, looking him up and down, her face twisted with a smirk. "I bet you think you're going to be some big artist one day. But people like you're not cut out for this world." Lucas, trying his best to remain calm, set his sketchbook down and met her gaze with a quiet but steady expression. He had heard the dismissal in her words before. It was a common judgment passed on young artists like him, people who were labeled as naive dreamers, never able to break into the real world. Evelyn, seemingly unaware of the sting her words might have caused, continued with her sharp tone. "You know, I've seen many people like you. You come here, trying to fill the hours with something that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Art is fine, but it doesn't pay the bills. Does it? You'll find out soon enough that this world doesn't have room for people who waste time on such impractical things." Lucas took a slow breath. He could feel his temper rising, but he wasn't going to let her get to him. Instead, he decided to turn her words back on her. "You're right, art doesn't always pay the bills. But I believe it pays in ways money can't, by giving us meaning, purpose, and the ability to express who we are. I'm not here to prove anything to anyone, least of all to you." Evelyn raised an eyebrow, intrigued but still skeptical. "Really? And what exactly do you think you're proving by working in a bookstore? By sitting here, sketching all day? How's that supposed to make any difference?" Lucas smiled gently, his voice calm but firm. "It's not about proving something to anyone. It's about doing what feels right for me, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem to others. I believe everyone has a place in this world, even if it's not the one society expects." For a moment, there was a silence between them. Evelyn, who had been so quick to judge, seemed caught off guard by his response. She looked at him, perhaps for the first time, not as a naive young man but as someone who believed in something deeper than just success defined by money or status. Evelyn cleared her throat, her expression softening just a little. "I guess I've been a little harsh. It's just hard sometimes, you know? The pressure to always succeed. To always prove I'm worth something." Lucas nodded, recognizing the vulnerability in her voice. "I get it, but you don't have to prove anything by putting others down. Success doesn't have to look the same for everyone. I'm happy with my path. And it's okay if yours is different. We all get to choose how we define success." Evelyn sighed, a flicker of something like regret passing across her face. "Maybe you're right. I've been so focused on what I have to achieve. I forgot what it means to just be, to just enjoy what I do." Lucas smiled, the tension between them easing. It's never too late to remember. The atmosphere in the bookstore had shifted completely. What had started as an encounter filled with tension and judgment had now turned into an unexpected moment of understanding. Evelyn, who had once dismissed Lucas as someone wasting his time, was now standing before him, a little more open, a little more reflective. She had begun to understand that life wasn't always about climbing the ladder of success, but also about finding personal fulfillment along the way. Evelyn looked at Lucas with a new sense of respect. "I never expected a conversation like this. I've been so caught up in my own world. Always chasing the next promotion. The next achievement. I forgot what it feels like to be satisfied with what you have. To be content with who you are." Lucas nodded, appreciating her honesty. It's easy to get lost in the chase. But sometimes, slowing down and appreciating the small things, like a good book or a moment of quiet, is what makes life worth living. Evelyn paused for a moment, considering his words. "You know, I've been looking for a new hobby lately, something that isn't just about work or business. Maybe I should try painting, or something creative like that. I've always loved art, but I never thought I had the time or the talent." Lucas smiled warmly. "It's never about talent. It's about expressing yourself, finding joy in the process. You don't need to be the best artist in the world, just the best artist for yourself." Evelyn chuckled softly, the warmth in her laughter a stark contrast to the coldness she had radiated earlier. "Maybe I'll give it a try. And who knows, I might just end up being as passionate about painting as I am about business." "Thank you, Lucas. I didn't expect to find such wisdom in a bookstore." Lucas's smile widened, grateful for the unexpected connection. "You're welcome. Sometimes, the right conversation happens at the right moment. I'm glad I could help." As Evelyn made her way to the door, she turned around one last time, offering him a genuine smile. "Maybe I'll see you around. And next time, I'll make sure to actually read the books I pick up, instead of judging them based on their covers." Lucas laughed, feeling the tension between them dissolve completely. "I'd like that." Evelyn stepped out of the store, the door chiming softly behind her as she left. Lucas stood for a moment, reflecting on the unexpected turn of events. He had started the day simply working behind the counter, doing his usual routine, but now he had experienced something far more meaningful, a moment of connection. A bridge between two very different worlds. It was proof that sometimes, the most unexpected encounters could change the way you see not only others but also yourself. And in that brief conversation, Lucas had realized that art wasn't just about creating something on a canvas, it was about creating understanding. About finding common ground, and about knowing that no matter what your background or your path, there was always room for empathy and growth. With a contented sigh, he returned to his sketchbook, but not without a sense of fulfillment that would linger long after the bookstore doors had closed for the night. A few days later, Evelyn returned to the bookstore, not to criticize or judge Lucas, but to find a book she had read years ago and had been wanting to rediscover. Lucas recognized her immediately as she stepped through the door, and a gentle smile spread across his face. "Good afternoon, Evelyn. Back again?" Lucas said, his voice now much more relaxed, even friendly. Evelyn nodded, looking at the shelves with a curiosity different from before. "Thank you for the conversation the other day. I've been thinking a lot about what you said. And today, I'm back to find a book I read a long time ago. I think it will help me find myself again." Lucas looked at her, noticing a shift in how she was approaching life. "I'm glad to hear that. Sometimes, books can lead us to deeper things we hadn't thought about." Evelyn smiled, a soft, genuine smile. "You're right. I've been so focused on chasing material success that I forgot to look for inner fulfillment. I'm trying to change that now. To slow down and find the little joys in life." Lucas nodded. "That's a beautiful journey. Sometimes, those little joys are what make the biggest difference in life." Evelyn stood still for a moment, gazing at the books, as if searching for a companion on her new path. After a while, she picked up a book titled, The Art of Living a Meaningful Life, and turned back to Lucas. "I think I found it. This is the book I've been looking for." Lucas smiled. "I hope it helps. And if you ever need advice, don't hesitate to come back." Evelyn nodded and walked out of the store, the book in hand. She wasn't rushing this time, walking slowly as if she were looking for peace in the chaos of life. Over the next few weeks, Evelyn continued visiting the bookstore. Each time, she would choose a new book. But this time, it wasn't about searching for success or perfection. She began picking books that helped her understand herself more, about living the art of life and nurturing the small joys along the way. Each conversation with Lucas became a spiritual tonic, helping her realize that life wasn't just about work and career. It was about those quiet moments, honest conversations, and simple hobbies that nourish the soul. 1 month later, Evelyn returned with a painting she had created, her first one ever. It was simple but full of emotion and understanding. She wasn't a professional artist, but the act of creating had helped her find freedom, self-expression, and inner peace. Evelyn entered the bookstore, holding the painting in her hands. "Lucas, I want you to see this." Lucas looked at the painting and smiled. "It's beautiful, Evelyn. I see the peace in it." Evelyn looked at him with a bright smile. "Thank you for helping me find myself again. I realized that art isn't a career or a goal. It's a way of living, of feeling, and connecting." Lucas smiled, feeling a deep joy. "You've found your own path. And I think that's real success." Evelyn smiled back. "Exactly. Thank you, Lucas. You've helped me change the way I view work. And more importantly, life." As Evelyn walked out of the store, Lucas felt a joy that was hard to express in words. It was a journey they had both taken together. And in the simplest of moments, they had found connection, understanding, and joy in themselves. Weeks passed, and the bookstore had become more than just a place of work for Lucas. It had transformed into a space where meaningful conversations, reflections, and unexpected friendships were born. Evelyn's visits continued, each time bringing her closer to finding peace and contentment in a world that once seemed too demanding and relentless. One afternoon, as the golden light of the setting sun streamed through the windows of the bookstore, Evelyn arrived with a new sense of calm in her steps. This time, she wasn't just seeking a book, but something deeper, a connection to her new self. She had spent the last few weeks rediscovering her love for creativity, trying to find balance between her professional life and her personal happiness. "Lucas, do you ever wonder if people truly see us for who we are?" Evelyn asked, breaking the comfortable silence between them. Her voice was calm, but there was a depth to it that Lucas hadn't heard before. Lucas looked up from his sketchbook, intrigued. "I think people see what they want to see, often based on what they expect from us. But there are always layers that remain unseen until someone takes the time to look deeper." Evelyn paused, contemplating his words. "I've spent so many years striving to meet others' expectations, trying to prove myself, that I forgot what it feels like to just be, to be seen for who I am. Not for what I do or how much I achieve." Lucas nodded, a gentle understanding in his eyes. "It's easy to get lost in that chase. But sometimes, the most meaningful moments come when we stop trying to prove ourselves and start living authentically." Evelyn smiled softly, her gaze drifting to the window as if looking for the answers in the world outside. "I think I'm finally starting to understand that. I've spent my life measuring success in terms of promotions, achievements, and numbers. But now, I see that the most fulfilling moments are the ones that don't come with any awards or accolades. Like sitting in this bookstore, talking to you, and discovering a different way to live." Lucas smiled in return, moved by her words. "It's never about the awards or accolades. It's about finding the peace within ourselves and recognizing that we are enough, just as we are." Evelyn's eyes softened, and for the first time in a long while, she looked at herself not through the lens of her past or her career but through the eyes of someone who had finally found a sense of peace. She had let go of the need for constant validation and embraced the simple joys of life. "You've helped me so much, Lucas," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "I came to this bookstore looking for a place to escape the pressures of my life. But what I've found instead is a sense of purpose in the simplest things. I'm not sure I would have found this without our conversations." Lucas's smile widened, genuinely touched by her words. "Sometimes, it's the simplest moments that have the most impact. And you've always had the ability to find your way. You just needed the space to see it." Evelyn stood up, feeling lighter than she had in years. "Thank you, Lucas. I'm going to take this journey one day at a time now. And I'll continue to come back here. Not just for the books, but for the peace I've found in this place." As she made her way toward the door, she turned back to give Lucas one last, grateful smile. "See you soon, and next time, I'll bring you a painting of the sunset I've been working on. I found a love for colors I never knew existed." Lucas's heart swelled with happiness as he watched her leave. "I look forward to it." Evelyn stepped out of the bookstore, the door chiming softly behind her. For the first time, she didn't rush out to chase the next goal or achievement. Instead, she walked slowly, savoring the moment, knowing that the journey to true fulfillment wasn't about reaching the top but finding peace along the way. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Lucas sat back in his chair, reflecting on the unexpected journey he had witnessed in Evelyn. It had started with a harsh judgment, a conversation filled with tension and doubt. But now, it had blossomed into a beautiful transformation, proof that sometimes it takes a simple conversation to help someone see their worth and find the courage to change. With a contented sigh, Lucas returned to his sketchbook, knowing that every day in the bookstore, every moment shared, was a small step toward creating understanding and empathy in the world. And in that, there was more success than he had ever imagined.